technology. I mean, yeah.
If I was any sort of diva, I would make you wait 10 minutes now.
I know. Man, I was actually sitting down here ready to podcast, and then I said, "Oh shit, I didn't cut up the sweet potatoes and make the fries and throw them in the oven because that's my part of dinner tonight, the hamburgers." And so that's what I was up there doing, man. I could have taken you up, and you could have that would have been a new facet of your show, Cooking with John and Stuart. So maybe next time.
From page to stove, that kind of works.
That's
cooking spin-off, cooking cinematic. Yep. Actually, is probably a.
Oh, hey, I like that too, man.
A good one.
I use this huge. It looks like a Viking cleaver to cut everything, including what I could use something smaller for. But it just, it's like Conan, and so I could see me talking to you and then losing a finger, So
yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
That would also be new. For your
show. You mentioned Viking cleaver. Why is everybody on Facebook trying to make themselves look like a Viking? Have you seen that, or is that just my timeline?
No, I have no idea, man. I go on Facebook so randomly. I'm sure it's a thing. Is there a new movie coming out, or?
No, I think there's just a new app come out, and everybody's like, "Here's what I'd look like as a Viking." It's like, look, unless you're going to be in a Viking movie, or you want to be a Viking, I don't know. Some people might, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, are you truly capable of growing the beard that you're, making out like you could? I mean,
some women are.
Time.
Some women are, John.
It's true. Do they have the Warner Brothers hat with the horns coming out and then they're singing?
Yep. Definitely. How's 2024 treating you so far? I know it's only like 11 days in, but a lot can happen.
But you know what? It's going fine. I've progressed with a couple of different projects, but it's interesting. Like you say, we're just 11 days into it, but yet I feel like the Hulk ready to do the mile-high leap, right? But I'm chained, and I'm just like, man, why does it feel like we've had 3 months in 2024 when it's just been 11 days? But I feel like I'm behind. I'm ready to move forward on everything. So,
which Hulk are you? Are you Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno, Mark Ruffalo, Edward Norton, Eric Bana? Have I forgotten any? I don't know. The animated, whoever the animated one was, it's the cartoony. I don't know. Who's your favorite Hulk?
I would probably be the smart Hulk from the Avengers, not the Avengers, but the oh my gosh, the Infinity Wars and the final whatever. Yeah. I don't know why I'm having brain farts. This should be a fun episode.
Should be a fun episode.
That movie where that dude wears a shirt and
Welcome to episode 710, the one where John can't remember shit. That's the title.
That's it, man.
Waxing dementia.
Oh, that's it, man. It's like a swirl.
Yep. The episode where Stuart burns in hell for his dementia comments.
Probably, man. Wait, is that your numbers dropping on Twitter right now?
Yeah, probably. I think they do. I think they do that naturally, to be fair.
I don't know, man. It's funny on Instagram. I'm slowly seeing my numbers rise as far as the people following me, but they're all hot chicks with no posts. You know what I mean? It's the cleavage out and all that. And I know it's just bots, but. Yeah, it is kind of funny that, if they're going to tempt me with a bot, a fembot is the way to go. So.
It is. Exactly. And just, it makes your numbers go up. Just don't answer it. Don't click on any links or anything like that.
When I'm asked for my phone number and my social, I'm kind of doubting I want to share, right?
Yeah. Or where are you from? Read my bio. What is your first name? Read my bio. It's just...
That's like my niece evidently has been hacked or someone created an account that's just like hers. And, but anyway, so she said, Uncle John, can you help? And I'm like, well, I'm wondering why you're not calling me on my phone. And, cause she's got that number. And then, I said, I will, if I can. And then the next response was, please send me your phone number. Yeah. You know what? You've already got that. Besides, I mean, like you have 3 sisters. They all have my phone numbers. Your mom and your dad both have my phone numbers. So That's an easy give right there. So yeah.
I have been fortunate in that I've never, and I probably jinxed it now. I'll be messaging tomorrow going, John, it
Right.
happened. But I've never been,
Right.
I don't even want to say the H word because it might jinx it, but I've never had an account compromised like that.
Dude,
I've
as
been
long
lucky.
as you don't click on some stray link, you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like my sister did and a friend. And then I created a business account for my friend to share, and then that was gone. So yeah, but I mean, it's like when on my sister's account, it was, hey, look at this brand new huge house that I bought with Bitcoin investment. And I'm
No.
like, oh, you've been hacked. And then my
Yeah.
buddy had a brand new, I think it was a, I don't know, some, I don't know, Toyota Tacoma or something with all the extras. And he said, I just had this delivered to my house thanks to Bitcoin. I'm like, dude, everybody has clicked on the wrong thing. I don't click on anything. I don't trust people that I can see, much
No.
less the people that I can't. So
It's
yeah.
like, unless we're on a podcast and you go, I'll send you a link in, when we've done
Right.
the show, and then a link
Yeah.
comes through, I don't click on it. I've had friends send me things, and I'm like, I ain't
Yeah.
clicking on that. It's no chance.
Dude, there was, and this was probably 20 years ago, near the beginning of eBay, but this friend of mine who will remain nameless received an email that said, oh, due to some weird activity, we need you to, sign into your account and verify that it's you. So
Yeah.
click on this link.
No.
And
No.
so about almost $20,000 later.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was not good. He was in a job that paid very well, so that was kind of a slap on the wrist. Versus me, I would have been like swearing mad, and
Yeah.
I would have found out who. I mean, granted, Bitcoin overseas, I'm not traveling that far, but man, that's wrong.
Ouch. That's horrendous.
Yeah.
The correct thing to do is you go onto a different browser, log into your eBay account, and do it that way.
Right.
You don't. I never
Yep.
click on any links that.
Yeah.
No,
The
no chance.
the text that my parents get because they're on my Verizon account. I look after as much of their stuff as I can, and my dad will send me a screenshot. Hey, Verizon says that there's trouble, and I've got to, do this or that. And I'm like, look, you're on my account. You don't have to do anything. And then even the Verizon proper, he called to complain about the signal not being what he thought it should, and they were like, oh well, you need to get some insurance on your phone. That everything is insured. I can't believe that Verizon, and yes, I'll say that name again, Verizon actually tried to double sell my dad on my account. And I did confront them because it had been a long day. And that was the final straw.
Did they go, oh, sorry? And that was it.
Oh, yeah. They were like, oh, we can't see that delicate information. I'm like, well, you have no business talking to my parents at all, ever. So, yeah. I want to be defensive, man. I want to look after the people that I care about. And,
yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, man.
I think we live
what
in
about you, man? Go ahead.
I think we live in a world now where somebody walks up to you and go, would you like a big pile of money? You go, yeah, fuck off, go away. It's just, it's weird, isn't it?
It really is, man.
We don't.
I remember back in high school, a buddy and I were at the mall, and this is like an hour away in the big city of Charlotte. And we're just hanging out, scoping chicks, as we used to call it back in the day. And we were approached by this lady with a clipboard and said, hey, we have chocolates we would like for you to sample and give us your opinion on, how they stack up. And it's a blind taste test. And we'll pay you $20. And we were like, hell yeah, $20. Anyway, when I told my dad, he was like, you could have been drugged and shipped overseas by now. Don't ever do that again. But we didn't think about it. I mean, $20, man. Yeah.
we were, Annette and I were on holiday in Malta, I think around 2017, 2018, semi recently. And we were accosted by somebody who wanted to try and sell us a timeshare vacation thing. And we're like, no, we're not interested. Forget it. Because, no, not happening. And we carried on, and then we went out for a day, and then we walked back, and this woman was still there, and she was like, have you had a good day? And we're like, yeah. She went, well, I'll give you a lift back to your hotel if you want. So we stupidly we went, all right, because she was an English speaking lady, so she looked like she probably lived near us or whatever.
Right.
So she drove us out into the middle of nowhere to this
No way.
to this hotel complex. She went, "Oh, while I'm here,
Right.
we'll just show you around. It'll only take an hour." 4 hours
Oh,
later,
right.
we were there,
Yeah.
and they were trying to sell it. We're like, "Look, we're not interested. We
Right.
just accept." We're starting to get really mad then, and I was sitting down facing the guy who was trying to pressure sell, and he
Right.
said, "Look, I don't get why you're so defensive. It's not, all I'm asking you to do is to sign something.
Right.
I'm not pointing a gun at you or whatever." I said, "Well,
Yeah.
whether it's a gun or whether it's a pen, I know how to kill you with a pen." So, and then we left shortly after. They gave us a lift back, but that's we were driven out into the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
It's
dude,
like just
that is
me
crazy, man.
threatening to kill him with a pen
Right.
before they let us go.
That's yeah, that's a bit extreme, man.
It is. Thank you, John Wick, for the pen maneuver. John Wick 2.
You're right. It's it. Either that or if you had a spoon. Isn't that what they used in, what was it, the Postman? Whatever the
Yes. Yeah. I like that.
or at least it was the threat.
Take somebody's eye out with a spoon. It's quite. That's
That'll work, man.
Alan Rickman. Oh, it's hearts, isn't it? I could cut your heart out with a spoon. It's the Alan Rickman Robin Hood Prince of Thieves line. There's a lot of good death threats in movies, I find. I learn my best ones from films.
Right. And they sound legit. I think the people that can't remember where the quote came from, they're just like, whoa,
Yeah.
man, this guy may be infamous. This guy may be serious, because I've heard of that before. Someone, running around barefoot on glass to take down the bad guys. That could have been Stuart, man.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
That's me. Oh, yeah. Many
Yeah.
moons at Nakatomi Plaza.
Right.
So long ago. Best Christmas ever.
That
What have you been
was-
watching? Have you been watching
Oh, my-
anything?
You know what? Yes, I have. Have you
good.
checked out? I don't know what platforms you have running at present, but have you checked out Echo on Disney Plus, or is that?
No, I haven't got Disney Plus yet. I'm currently running on another free trial of Apple Plus. Just signed up for another
Right.
3 months today, so
Yeah.
very excited about that one. So partway through Monarch. But no,
Yeah.
I haven't seen Echo. I've seen people talking about it, but I couldn't tell you what it was about. So you can
Yeah.
educate me.
Did you see Hawkeye, the TV series
No.
on Disney? Really good. Probably one of my favorite, especially early on Disney series. It was fun. I think it came out, was it 2 Thanksgivings ago, or started? Echo is unique in that they decided to do like Netflix and just drop them all. You've got access to, which almost got me in trouble last night, because we watched 2 episodes and I wanted to just binge the rest and pay for it today with being very sleepy while I worked. But Michelle still had some common sense, and she said they'll be waiting on us. So, but it's ultra violent. I mean, like, it reminds you of the Netflix Daredevil series.
Okay.
And I mean, of course, you've got Daredevil. He made an appearance in the first episode, and I think he'll be back. And then, of course, Kingpin is in there because he's kind of her adopted uncle. And so anyway, but I mean, it's good, man. They kind of set everything up in case you didn't know what happened in the comics and you didn't know what kind of set Echo up for this journey that she's about to go on. Boom, they told it quick and painless, and it didn't feel nearly as repetitive as, hey, how did Peter Parker get those spider abilities? Oh my God, over and over. And then the public was pissed in the one movie where they didn't show that. It's like, how dare they? Someone may not know. But anyway, I digress. Let's see here. As far as what we've been watching, which, by the way, I don't know how to do this. I was going to send you a sentence to read, because I have a question about whether this is a British thing or an English thing, like a British or American thing. But
Okay.
I'll just tell you the sentence, and then you can repeat it, and then we'll discuss it. We'll break it down. It was part of a voiceover gig that I did last week, and they were like, "Man, it's perfect except for what we'll go over." So, let's see here. Echo, of course, is awesome. Reacher on Amazon Prime. It's just hilarious, man. It was one of the characters was trying to find where this person was hiding, knowing that they had a daughter who was a gamer, so they knew her gamer tag. So, but anyway, they asked, you're familiar with the character Reacher, of course.
Yeah, I've seen
And
season
so,
1, so I'm waiting until
oh,
season
okay.
2's finished. Then I'll sign up for Prime for a month, and then bang,
Oh,
batter
I
it
don't
all.
blame you, man. Sit waiting and waiting with the good cliffhangers that they leave. But anyway, so one of his his fellow soldiers said, "Man, I'm surprised you don't like first person shooters." He said, "I am a first person shooter." Just crack me up, man. Let's see here. So Reacher, Percy Jackson is pretty good too. Whenever you get Disney Plus back, I've been impressed. Fargo, which is season 5 or 6, I can't remember, but it has the actress who was Roy Kent's girlfriend on Ted Lasso.
Oh, Juno Temple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I saw her in the trailer and didn't even recognize her. She's speaking with a kind of a Minnesota accent, and very strongly, as they always do on Fargo. And anyway, yeah. So I mean, like, probably the third or fourth time watching the promo before watching the show, I figured out who she was, because she looked familiar. She has a very unique facial structure, but yeah, talking like this and all, And so yeah, man. What else, man? Let's see here. Monarch, Dead City. I don't know where you stopped on the whole Walking Dead.
We haven't even got Dead City or Daryl Dixon in the UK here yet.
Daryl Dixon's really good, and Negan's good too. I mean, Negan, the
Dead City.
Dead City. Yeah, I think I liked Daryl Dixon better. But I mean, you're kind of pulling for Negan. He kind of turned his life around, but there's always something tempting him to go back to the dark side. So
do it. Go back to the dark side. He was much more entertaining when he was batting people with Lucille.
Yeah, which Lucille is in a field somewhere, isn't she? She's lost.
She is, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's something on Netflix called "You Are What You Eat," and it's they take a bunch of twins, identical twins, and give them 2 different diets. Both are very healthy, but one is meat based, the other is plant based, and it's interesting. I mean, everybody gets healthier, but it's interesting what happens to each one. They get healthier in different directions. So, but that was one of those edutainment, as we used to call it back in the 90s. So
how long did they do the experiment for?
Gosh, man. I mean, it was probably 3 months, somewhere in there. So it was pretty much a month of being told exactly what to eat, and then there was another month where you had guidance, and then I think the third month it was, or maybe it was just 2 months. I can't remember, but I mean, it's a limited series, so I think in 4 episodes you're done. But it's interesting, It's so okay. So here's my question for you. So the sentence read something like, you could win a free trip to Disneyland, or tickets. You could win a trip to Comic-Con, right? So how would you say that sentence? You could win a trip to Disneyland or a trip to Comic-Con.
Well, you can win a trip to either Disneyland or Comic-Con would be one way that I would do it.
Well, what I'm trying to snag you on is the fact that back when I was in grade school, they said that if it is a trip to Disneyland, then it's A. It's not it's A. And then
it'd be for us then.
Gotcha, man. Yeah. But I mean, that was just weird. You and I are about the same age, so I didn't know if it was, like the British school system raised you properly, and that it wasn't A, it was A.
No, would you like a drink? Would you can I borrow a pen?
You go, man. Yeah. So you were ready to take your acting role as an American, evidently, before I would take mine.
I've just been watching too many American movies and TV shows.
Right.
Just throw me out on a sidewalk. I don't know. Hit me with an aluminum bat.
Right. That's all right, man. You're ready, dude.
I'm ready. I am ready.
I'm going to be wrapping my head in aluminium foil so that people don't read my brain waves when I come over to England. So, yeah.
And I can't get my head around the different pronunciations of nuclear. There's 2 different ones. We say nuclear. I think I don't know what the American one is or whether that is the American one, but there's two different ones.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's
So, yeah.
like one of the things that I got for Michelle for Christmas, she had mentioned, and this was just, I mean, like on a whim back during Thanksgiving when we had the families together. I was asking my sister, as well as my parents, my brother-in-law, and Michelle, of course, what was their favorite game as a child? What was their favorite movie as a kid? You know, I mean, just, you know, trying to bring up some nostalgia. And so she said this game called Uncle Wiggly. And I know. And so it's a bunny rabbit. It's very old school and very tame. But see, in the South, man, we would say Uncle Wiggly. There is no Wiggly. There isn't a proper English in the South, evidently. So, but she sounded so cute. I was like, damn, I've got to order this game for her, and so she can play it with the grandkids, you know. But yeah, so, but I mean, so is that another word that you would have said Uncle Wiggly, or would you have just shortened it Uncle Wiggly?
No, I mean, my accent's weird anyway because it's from Scottish based, so I'd probably I'd just say Wiggly. But
right, man.
Uncle Wiggly kind of sounds like that creepy uncle that you wouldn't let babysit. Do you not think?
Yeah.
It's like Uncle Wiggly will look after the kids. No, you're all right, thanks. I'll get Auntie Doris to do it instead.
You will never see the light in their eyes again.
Exactly.
So what about you, man? What have you been watching? You know, seems like we did see a movie or two, but I cannot remember what we saw. And I even commented on Twitter because it was a new movie. And anyway, it'll eventually come to me, or I'll look at my Twitter. So anyway, I interrupted you.
I've been rewatching old stuff because I decided it's like, no matter how many films you watch in a year, you're never going to watch everything. You're never going to catch up on all the new films. So I thought, you know what? One of my New Year's resolutions is to just watch whatever the hell I want. And I don't really. And to be fair, it's the 11th of January, so there's not really any new movies out yet. But, you know, other than some of your streaming platforms. But I've watched, and I've written them down, Bowfinger from 1999. I thought, I've not seen that for ages. A long time. Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy. Funny film. Wasn't as funny as I remember it, so maybe my humor's changed, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead.
No, carry on.
Oh, I was going to say, man, it's kind of like when, as movies progressed, like from the 80s to the 90s and picked that pace up, kind of like Terminator 2. And then but we continued on that ride with faster, zippier, more action-packed movies. So then you go back to Terminator 2, which is still a masterpiece, but it doesn't have the drive. I mean, like it's a moderately paced movie, but back in the day, it felt like it was, you know, a bullet train.
Yep. I then went, so I thought, right, 1999 is not old enough, so I need to watch an even older film. So I dug into my Clint. I've been rewatching a lot of my physical media stuff, so hence the titles are all over the place. I watched Pale Rider from 1985, the Clint Eastwood one. Oh,
yeah. I remember seeing that one in the theater. Isn't that crazy how some movies are just kind of burned in? And living in a small town, it sounds like a John Cougar Mellencamp song. Living in a small town. But anyway, we had a couple of different movie theaters, but one was downtown, and it had one screen, had a balcony. It's beautiful. But anyway, that's where I saw a lot of the movies, and my mom would just drop me off if a friend wanted to go with me. Otherwise, I'd go by myself. But yeah, it was. I just enjoyed movies. I've always been passionate about it. But it was funny. I remember seeing that on that specific silver screen. Man,
it's a good film. I hadn't seen it for probably 20 years. But what I found weird, so obviously the premise is Clint Eastwood plays a man with no name. He's a preacher. He shows up in a town. He ends up protecting the miners from this crazy sort of conglomerate that want to take over everything. Sean Penn's brother's in there. Chris Penn, he's in that film.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then there's this weird romance story that sort of rears its head where it's the daughter of one of the people that Clint Eastwood's staying with, and she sort of has a crush on Clint Eastwood, and she's like, I think you should marry me, and I want you to show me how to be a woman and stuff. And then in this film, she's playing a 14-year-old. So I'm like, okay, this wouldn't float nowadays. Surely she can't really have been 14 when she was saying all these lines, Oh yes,
At-
she was. She was
no
14.
way.
She was born like
Good.
she's the same age as me or whatever, and Clint Eastwood's like
Right.
30. I don't know how old, but it's about a 30-odd year age difference in this, and you're like, I'm so glad they didn't consummate this relationship on screen in that film. It's getting every warning.
Didn't they eventually get married? Wasn't that the
No,
actress?
no, no, no.
Okay.
Oh, you were thinking
No.
Sandra Locke.
Yes.
Yeah, no, she wasn't in that one. I don't. She's been pretty much every other Clint Eastwood film, but no, that wasn't her.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But yes, a 14-year-old. You would never. I don't think that would happen on set now, where you would ask a 14-year-old girl to read those lines out to somebody that's 30-odd years older than you. Other than that, Pale Rider, still a good movie.
Yeah, but it is funny the things that they got away with back then. It was a more innocent or neglected time in movies. So,
probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
I would have thought.
But it's you think about the original Romeo and Juliet, where they were 13, 14, and naked in the scene, and then I saw that in high school because we read the book, and then we're watching the movie. So underage porn to underage kids at school, man. What the hell, man? I don't. That probably didn't happen over in Britain, right?
It probably did. Go back to the Blue Lagoon. Do you remember that coming out?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's about a brother and sister who. It's like, what? That would never happen nowadays. But I remember liking that film, going, "Go on." I'm like, no, but you don't.
Right.
It's insane.
It's funny. My uncle used to live up in Manhattan, and this is before he died. And Brooke Shields was, I forget, she was a neighbor. I can't remember if it was on his floor or a floor above or below. But anyway, so my grandmother's heartbroken because her son has died. And so they go up and clear out some of the stuff that, like plants and stuff, the things that can't wait to be dealt with. And so my grandmother gets on the elevator. Brooke Shields gets on the elevator and says, "Oh, that is a nice plant. Can I have it?" And my grandmother hated her from that point on.
Oh.
Brooke Shields didn't know what was going on. It was an old lady holding a plant that was, I'm sure, my grandmother was not as short as my wife, but on the way. And so it probably looked like something out of a cartoon, but yeah, she was like, "Brooke Shields is not nice." And I'm like, I don't have any skin in this game. So.
No, I'm not getting involved in a Brooke Shields war.
No.
There's a really good documentary I think it's called Brooke Shields' Pretty Baby, which came out on HBO, I think, like a year or so ago. And it's all about her career and how the media just massively exploited her. And you watch it, she's in it. So you watch it, it's really interesting, but it's really creepy. Some of the questions that they ask her on interview programs, and so, "Are you still a virgin?" And it's like, this is on like chat shows and stuff. You're like, oh my God, the world has definitely changed. So anybody that complains that the world's terrible nowadays, go back and watch some of this earlier stuff.
Yeah, clear the cigarette smoke and watch, right?
Yep.
Sorry, that was supposed to sound like we were going back in time to where I remember taking a plane trip with my parents out to California, and the no smoking sign just came on. Everybody's lighting them up, man. It was like an Airplane, the movie. Yep. It just So
movie theaters, you would have to.
You are right. Yep.
Yeah. I did a couple of. One of my other New Year's resolutions is I don't feel the need to podcast every week. Now, in some ways, that could mean that I'm going to do one every 6 weeks or 5 weeks or something. However, in this case, it means that this is my fourth one that I've done since New Year's Day. And so, there is that. But I sat down with the headset probably about a week ago and just did 2 solo episodes. And the first one, which is 707, is my memories of video stores when I was a kid. And it was
man. Is that out now?
Yeah, it's out. It's on all the platforms. I can send you a link later on. It's all about half an hour. And it's all, VHS, Betamax, top loading VCRs, remote controls with cables on and all that sort of stuff.
Oh,
and then the second one, which is 708, is my moving to England. So this is like mid 1980s. And it's my second video stores experience. So I moved on to a different video store. And then the other ones that I'm going to do are when I own and run a video store. So I'm doing this little video store series of solo podcasts. So,
dude, that is cool.
Definitely in a nostalgia mood this year.
Yeah. It's pretty much all the movies that we watched for Christmas, which, I'll admit, I wasn't exactly encouraging it early on. I mean, I was just going to wait until we were closer to Christmas. And Michelle finally just said, look, if you're not going to watch Christmas movies with me, I'm watching them without you. And I was like, what? Yeah, put your little halo on. I'm like, what? Of course we're going to watch it.
Are you divorcing me? Do you not love me anymore? Sort of thing.
I mean, and so, but anyway, so yeah, we started watching Christmas movies, but everything was old. I wanted to watch the new, what's that one that where it's like a Charles Bronson Christmas, except it's the tall skinny guy, and his family's dead, he's going on revenge kick or whatever, and but we didn't, so but it just, I'm with you, man. I think it's I am enjoying the nostalgia that is with entertainment, with I started watching YouTube, like whatever they're called, YouTube programs, whatever, YouTube channels, where they're talking about Star Wars Mask, and they broke down all the changes that Darth Vader went through in the original trilogy. Then they were talking about the stormtroopers, and this guy showed that some of the stormtroopers in New Hope didn't have the blue lines right there on there, and I'm like, no, man, and sure as hell, man, I started up thanks to Disney Plus, and there it is, man. Shoot to stun, and nothing, man. So back in the day, I guess we just didn't pay any attention to little details like that.
No, and also the screens were smaller. I mean, cinema screens, I guess, were probably still smaller than they are now, but certainly TVs were.
Oh, definitely. Well, that, and then everything was pan and scan because everything was 4:3, and lots of changes.
So I got sent a message from a friend of mine, Abel, who I used to work with, and he'll send me random topics now and again. He's like, I think you should talk about this one, and then the weird topic that he sent me was screen ratios. So I'm like, I don't even know how I could put that into a topic. And then I watched my Oppenheimer Blu-ray, and I'm like, fucking Christopher Nolan with his ratio jumping.
Right. Yep.
I hate that. I don't, and he's done it since at least The Dark Knight Rises. I think the Blu-rays have done that. Every single one, and nobody ever notices it the first time they watch it on a Blu-ray, though. Yeah. But then when you notice it, and then you go back and watch it again, you're like, it's just like black bars, no black bars, black bars. No, pick a ratio, for God's sake.
What was the movie that was in the movie theater, and it was ultra wide, and then whoever the director was just like, you know what, we're missing too much. We're gonna do this 16:9 and include everything that was missed in the top and the bottom for the video release. And I mean, like, I don't know that I would have. I don't know what I missed, but I guess it's better. I don't know, man. Yeah.
Why isn't there like a standard ratio though? Because there seems to be. I don't know. At one point there used to be like 4.3, which was TV shape, and then 16.9, and that was your cinema. And then James Cameron came out with Aliens and screwed the whole thing up by it's like 2.351 or whatever it was. And then Zack Snyder's Justice League comes out and it's like square.
It's Instagram in black and white.
Isn't it? And then Saltburn, which is a film from last year, which is really good. If you've not seen Saltburn.
Is it really?
It's really good.
I saw that. I thought that was the horror movie that where the lady looks up at the light and gets a shard of glass in her eyeball itself.
No.
And she's sitting there going like this. Where it's the little kid that has superpowers. Like, what if Superman was evil?
That's Brightburn.
Ah, see, I was close.
There you go. Yeah, but Saltburn comes out last year. Square.
Yeah.
Why?
Really?
It's very strange.
I think some of that is personal preference, however you want to try to frame it. If it's I think pretty much all the old movies when they were shot, they were more square. And then film decided we're going to expand, and TVs decided, okay, now we're going to expand. And then videos decided, you know what, we're going to expand even further. There's going to be black bars at the top and bottom now. But I don't know. I mean, I guess as long as it's in front of me versus, I remember going to the Triple D, whatever, it's supposed to be bigger than IMAX, and watching one of the Fast and Furious movies. And dude, I needed a massage once I was done, because I was like, wow, man, and I was right in the middle of the theater. Michelle and I were both just like, we're going to enjoy this. Really? Man, wait. Oh,
it's like watching tennis.
It is. See, I would rather watch ping pong than tennis, because it's in my field of vision. I can, relax now.
So if you're shooting a film next week, what's your preference for ratios? How do you decide what you're going to shoot? Me, I'd just go, what does that camera do? Right, that's the one. That's the camera I'm using. Therefore, that's what I'm shooting in. But that's me.
And at this point, Neil's clinching. He's like, whoa, wait a minute, you guys, wait.
Yeah,
because
probably.
You both have nice cameras. What? Yeah, but I would shoot it in 6K, and I guess it's 16:9, unless there's an extra setting, which I've started going through the library of settings on the camera that Neil sold me. And here's something funny. So I'm sitting there going through it, pressing a button, flipping a dial, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, how many levels do I have to go through? Turns out it's a touch screen.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it, right? So anyway, and that was just by happenstance. I fat thumbed it, and I was like, boop, and I was like, it's a miracle, and made the changes really fast, and just hopped around. So yeah.
The first question I asked Neil when I got that camera was, how do I put it on auto? I could just see the happiness drain from his face. As I'm like, how do I want to switch it on, press record, and capture what I'm looking at. That's all I need to do.
Yep, I'm with you, man. It's the project that I've been color correcting is not my own, and for whatever reason, they shot some of it without any LUTs at all, so it's at least clear. They can't frame all the time, and sometimes they decide they're just gonna bump the camera. So anyway, but I digress. I'm sorry, I'm complaining, but anyway, I mean, so some of the color is already pretty much there. I just have to tweak it a little to make sure that the Panasonic camera matches the Canon camera, matches the whatever the other camera was. But anyway, but then one day they decided they were going to shoot with some unknown LUTs, which makes everything look hazy, kind of like old sepia tone, and so I'm having to color correct that. And then come to find out, they decided they were going to shoot both ways this one scene. I'm like, you guys jackasses, why are you doing this to me?
It sounds like they watched Tony Scott's Domino. Have you seen Domino?
Oh yes,
where it's just
one of my favorite. Oh yeah,
I love that movie, and a lot of people don't like it. So like, it's just crazy. I'm like, that's why I love it, because it's like every single camera stock, every single crank speed, it's just like throws it all on one film, and it's like, there you go. And I love that. Natural Born Killers are two of my favorite styly films
yeah. Going back to Domino, it's so funny in that, I mean, Tony Scott was just the rock and roll badass of film directors, and he just did whatever he wanted, whether it would make some people cringe. Like I've a friend who just, I mean, like everything has to be perfect. I mean, like he just goes nuts to the point where he loses some flavor in the scene because this light and overlit and all this stuff. But anyway, but so here's Tony Scott with the hand crank cameras, like you were saying. So it's whatever, they're on acid, it's perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so but even then he's like slowing down what should be going normal speed. That anyway, it's just, I always admired Tony Scott's ability to do that. And then he and his brother always had breeze blowing through the windows, whether they were open or closed. They always had the shears, right? And then no matter if they had a pool or water or anything, they had the reflections on the wall, man. So
if you have to choose one of the Scott brothers.
It's close, but I would go with Tony.
Same.
I mean, like Ridley influenced me to no end, but Tony just what he spoke to me through his movies was do it your way. Do not
Yeah.
bend your will to compromise your vision. You do it your way, and fuck everybody if they don't like it.
Yep.
You know, this is your artwork, nobody else's. So
It feels to me like Ridley Scott will sit down with his storyboards and he'll plan everything.
yeah,
He'll go, right, everybody,
yeah,
action. Whereas Tony's like,
right,
give me that camera.
right,
And and I know he didn't just rush off and film stuff, but it just feels like
right,
he has no plan, which obviously he
right.
does, but it just feels more chaotic. And I love that.
Yeah, yep. And what was the one that had Denzel Washington and it was about the train? I think it was a remake.
Unstoppable. Or
Yeah, yeah,
the taking of Pelham 123. Because they're both
that was it.
two Denzel
Yep.
Tony Scott train films.
Yeah. I mean, like that was another one where he just did whatever he wanted to the point where he slowed down this one shot. I think it was opening credits or whatever. But I mean, like it looked like a someone who was having trouble doing the flip book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but that was what he wanted. I admire that because there's a lot of
There's
people that overthink it and oh man, what would Boba Fett say about this? What would and nah, man, it's tough, but you have to cut all those voices out of your head and just stick to your vision. And then it's if you fail, it's all on you, but you can't blame anybody else. You know?
yeah. It's a favorite Tony Scott film.
Oh man, I mean, like it may be Domino. There was just something about the way he shot that. I mean, I guess I guess that would be my favorite. I'd have to look at the long list, but what about you?
I've got to go Man on Fire.
Oh man, on fire! You are right. And watching the latest Equalizer movie, it was funny seeing. Have you seen the movie?
I haven't seen the third one yet. No.
The this one, I forget if she's CIA or FBI. I think she's CIA. But anyway, she's the girl, Dakota Fanning, from that movie. And when it finally hit me, because I'm like, she looks really familiar. But but then once I placed it, because yeah, Man on Fire has a sacred place in my heart. You are correct, and I'd forgotten that, misplaced it on the shelf of my mind today.
But
so.
he's got one hell of a filmography, though. This Tony Scott.
Oh
It's
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
impressive,
Dude. I mean, I know we've talked about it plenty before, but I mean, like I was out in California going to a film festival that I think that was a movie that I produced. But anyway, but I mean, like that was when he jumped off the bridge, and I was just like, man, I'm winning, but yet the world is lost, So
have you got Domino on physical media? Is it a disc that you own or not?
dude, that is one that I have on DVD and Blu-ray. And I think it is on my Vudu account too. So, but yeah, I have that on a couple of nowhere near my T2 collection, which competes with Jake's T2 collection, which, VHS, and then probably 3 or 4 DVDs, and then maybe 3 or 4 Blu-rays, depending on the edition of the movie. So, yeah.
Well, on the Domino front, I don't know if you've checked out the commentaries on the Domino DVD.
No.
The second commentary, so I think the first one is Tony Scott going blah blah blah, and just a regular commentary. The second one is recordings of the production meetings that he has, phone calls and boardroom meetings, and it's scene specific. But it's him, it's the writer Richard Kelly, who also did Southland Tales and Donnie Darko, and they're like, let's try this, let's try that. So as a look behind the scenes of making a movie, it's a really good chat track.
Dude, I will have to pull that off the shelf, and yeah, one of these days I'll show you my Blu-ray collection and where it resides now, because I decided to bring books out,
Yep.
And then I moved all the Blu-rays into my sound booth and into that kind of section of the library. And then all the DVDs are out in a storage kind of room off the garage. So anyway, but yeah. And my plan was, as I was removing all the Blu-rays from the shelves, I was going to put them in alphabetical order so that I would be able to pull, the they're in like tubs, and I would be able to pull it out and go, oh, well, here's exactly. Nah, man. Near the end of that, of me wanting to move stuff around, you know how it is. It's just like, oh no, I don't have time for that. So I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you stack them too deep, and
I watched so it's a TV DVD set, which is this one, The Pacific, which is the follow-up to Band of Brothers.
Really, I don't even know that I saw Band of Brothers. I know Michelle did.
It is my favorite miniseries of all time.
Really,
is Band of Brothers. It's so good.
Yeah.
10 episodes, one and done.
Yeah.
It's like the war in Europe. And then the Pacific is, funnily enough, the war in the Pacific, which I didn't really know too much about, other than the fact it's in the Thin Red Line. But that set that I had there that I've just watched this week, I bought back in 2010. And I've only just watched it in 2024. So 14 years it's been sitting on my shelf. And I've only just got round to watching it. And that's because the third one comes out on Apple TV at the end of the month, Masters of the Air, which is the Air one. So this is a third one that's about to start.
Wow, man. Well, I need to get caught up. And Michelle will be down with that. She loves history, you know, whether it's documentaries or whether it's reenactments and stuff. Which, by the way, I was going to point out that without my glasses on, I can't tell that the background is blurred, right? But I noticed when you sent me that last one, the one that we did at Christmas, and I was like, oh yeah, look at all the decorations, man. It was all blurry.
It was I could see like a blurry tree or whatever. I thought you meant my background was blurred. I'm like, you need to wear your glasses.
No.
I think my background's blurred.
I feel like, what's his name from Highlander, where, you know, by the
Connor,
third movie, he said that, he couldn't, he needed his contacts in, but they said no. So he's like blind fighting with swords. And but I mean, like right now, I'm unaware of how blurry it all is on your screen.
Pretty, I could see something red over there and like some sort of table-y type thing, but not
and I don't even know where that setting came from. But anyway, without my glasses on, I'm just going to leave it alone.
Fine. Yeah, I would rather the background was blurred than you were, because that would be really weird when people are watching this back.
There was at one point when Michelle took her glasses off. This was early on before we got married, and she was like, I need to put my glasses on so I can see you. And I was like, no, you don't. It's all right. I look better without your glasses on. So
are you so I would recommend the Pacific. I would also recommend not waiting 14 years to watch it. So
okay. But that's like a fine bottle of wine. It just gets better with age, right?
It is, because I'd seen the pilot episode like 2 or 3 times, but every time I started watching it, I'm like, it's fine. But then I would mention to somebody that I'm watching it, and they're like, yeah, it's not as good as Band of Brothers. No, it's not as good. So I would just put it to one side. And then I've plowed through this thing in the past 3 days, and it is really good. But with Band of Brothers, it feels like it's 10 one-hour movies. Whereas with the Pacific, it feels like it's one 10-hour movie. So there are some episodes that are a little bit slower paced, whereas Band of Brothers is like every single one's like, you know, a 60-minute movie type thing.
Gotcha.
And then I put a Facebook thing out last night saying I'd watched it. It's not as good as Band of Brothers. And then thinking back on it, I'm like, kind of is. It's just different.
Right.
You know, it's just a different feel to it. But I think they're both really good.
Yeah.
If it's okay to say that something about real people in hell on earth is good, but you know what I mean. It's a quality show that's worth watching.
Yeah. Well, then we need to learn from our from the past so that we can understand that maybe we don't want to repeat those things.
Yeah, don't want to repeat those things. That just certainly in the Pacific, some of the battles there, Iwo is focused on, and Guadalcanal is just it's not something I'd like to put myself back in those historical times, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's also strange because it's, you know, obviously the Pacific War was America v Japan, whereas the Band of Brothers one was, you know, America and Britain versus Nazi Germany. So because I'm in the UK, I know more about the war in Europe than I do about the Pacific one. so it was interesting to go back or not to go back, but to finally, like, after 14 years, watch this show and learn something about, oh yes, that's what all this stuff is.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite war movie?
Heaven and Earth by Oliver Stone.
Which one was that?
It's a Vietnam movie. It is, but from the focus of a Vietnamese woman in the actual conflict. So he did Platoon, Born on the 4th of July, and then Heaven and Earth. And Heaven and Earth, weirdly enough, is the one that box office was lowest. But I love that film, the music, the way it was shot, and all sorts. So that's probably my favorite. What about yourself?
I don't know that I really have one. I mean, like, I could say Saving Private Ryan, or what was the other one by Spielberg, where Liam Neeson wants to save people instead of
Schindler.
hurt them. Yeah, there you go, Schindler's List. But and I'm trying to recall the name of the tank movie that was done by Dave Ayer.
Fury.
I like that. I like the rawness of it. And it was kind of interesting that it was, what was it, 5 guys on a tank. I mean, like, it was very confined, and So, and I think that was probably on up there. And I saw an interview called what's the guy's name who played the Punisher? Johnny Bernthal. He has a show called Real Ones, and he interviewed Ayer, and that was a very interesting interview. I mean, like, if you hadn't seen it, I'd recommend it. But it was just interesting, his view of Hollywood and his time in the service, and how that kind of, just all the big life events that happened to him, and how it shaped him into the content creator that he is today. So
I may check that out. Hey, the guy who played the Punisher, I've forgotten his name now. John Bernthal.
John Bernthal. Yeah.
He's also in the Pacific.
Really?
So he popped up. Rami Malek's in there, looking exceedingly young, because it's like, 14 years ago. So
Right.
I also rewatched. This was at the end of last year, so I think it was after we'd podcasted. But the Michael Bay one, set in Benghazi, 13 Hours.
Oh yeah,
that is insane. That film. That's borderline horror movie. That one. That's
that was the one that has Hemsworth in it, right? On horseback.
No, that's Extraction, I think, isn't it?
No, there's another one that he did that was based on real life events. Now I know what you're talking about, the 13 Hours. I don't know why I can't think of the name of the Hemsworth one, but it was because I think it actually, like, this mission happened 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It's been a while. And and they were pretty faithful with the retelling. And when Michelle and I were out on the way to the beach, we stopped by this war museum, and they had a display put on by the high school that was talking about the mission, and had some of the props from the movie. So yeah, man, I have this thing called an iPad right here. Maybe I should look it up.
That's the thing, though. It's like, if this was just an audio podcast, then I wouldn't think twice about looking stuff up either. But because it's video, you go, I can't touch anything. I can't make it look like I've got a sheet of paper on my keyboard, which I do.
Which, what's funny, man. I went onto your IMDb page, and there was Joe Rogan, and I'm like, what in the world, man? That's awesome. Joe Rogan, some other big names, and then it was that documentary about podcasting.
Oh, I'm thinking, what the hell's Joe Rogan
trailer,
on my thing? Yeah. But that was somebody that just contacted me and went, do you fancy doing like a video clip of the podcast? I'm like, all right. So I just kind of did it. And in hindsight, it's like, maybe I should have prepared for that, but I just point a camera and talk, But it's there. I was in a documentary, so.
Yeah, man, that was cool.
Very strange.
With the likes of Joe Rogan, man.
And probably Kevin Smith, I think, is in there as well.
Yes, he is. And this was pre-heart attack Kevin Smith.
Yes, right? It was. Yeah, it was indeed.
It is kind of funny how he is one that we can kind of set a date with. You know, it's like pre-heart attack and post-heart attack. We know
Yeah.
based upon his physique.
It's also like
So,
Peter Jackson as well. Is it
you are right,
is
man.
large Peter Jackson or skinny
Right.
Peter Jackson?
Yeah. And that was, I mean, like, I didn't even recognize him. I'm like, this voice sounds familiar, but who is that skinny dude? That's Peter Jackson. Yeah.
Do you not find though that sometimes, like when you look at skinny Peter Jackson and you look at skinny Kevin Smith, that sometimes you look and you go, you look unhealthy now, you're thin. Because you get or I did. I got so used to seeing Peter Jackson the way I knew Peter Jackson, and and the way I used to be familiar with Kevin Smith. And you're like, oh, you eat some stuff. Look, so
hey, eat something beyond a salad, man.
That's me cancelled for body shaming two wonderful directors. But you know,
wait, I see your Twitter count going down again, man.
Pretty much.
Oh my goodness, man. You know the thing, and Michelle was very kind and gave me a new iPad for Christmas. And
nice.
So while I have IMDb on here, it's wanting me to sign in, and I'm not gonna. I've got limited bandwidth, so I will just stay focused on the podcast.
I will
instead of looking up which Hemsworth movie that was.
Which Hemsworth war movie did he ride a horse?
Yeah. It was over in the somewhere around Saudi Arabia, I think. But yeah, I mean, like they flew in on this huge Black Hawk helicopter. It was at night. They couldn't have because it was, I mean, like it was a surprise. They couldn't turn on any lights, and there were all these mountains, and they managed to land right where they needed to. Crazy.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I find the war movies that freak me out the most are the ones that are in like the African cities, like Black Hawk Down, and I don't know why. I think urban wars kind of freak me out because it's like we live in urban areas, so it's like you just don't. Right. And also you find in things like Black Hawk Down and 13 Hours, the enemies don't wear uniforms. Right. So it could be. I rewatched The Hurt Locker as well. That's something I rewatched this year. And again, there's people stood all around just looking. You're like, I don't know if they're an enemy or whether they're not, or whether. So that's kind of a little bit more terrifying.
Yeah.
To me.
Well, and it's definitely a relevant topic, sadly. And my dad goes to something called the Rotary Club, right? Yeah. And it is an international company. Club. So I mean, you may have heard of it. But anyway. So, he comes over and I'll go for a walk with him once or twice, maybe 3 times a week. And so he came over the day after Rotary, and I was like, hey, man, so what was the topic? What'd because usually it's something cool like agriculture, new farms, new this. It's all positive. And he was like, how to deal with an active shooter in public. And I'm like,
wow.
What? I know, man. But I mean, over in, gosh, I cannot remember somewhere down in South America that this mafiosa guy escaped from prison, and some of his people broke into a news studio and took it over at gunpoint.
Yeah, I remember
this was on Tuesday. Yeah, so it's just we used to joke around about it back in the 70s. The world has lost its mind. I think there was even a few movies like that where we could all laugh, but now no, it's serious.
Over here in the UK, it's stabbings, so not so many shootings over here in the UK, but there's knife crime seems to be a thing in some of the bigger cities, not where I live.
Right.
But
wow, man, dude, it's just I mean, who would have thought? I mean, my mom used to tell me stories about growing up on the farm where there were no locks on the doors, and of course, I don't know, maybe people just knew that my granddad was always locked and loaded with his 45. I don't know. But I mean, there was no theft, no maliciousness, and now it just seems like everybody is out to take what someone else has worked hard for or run up credit card debt for. I mean, but one way or another, you're still that's you're either you worked for that or you're working it off. So
I think
that's
also
crazy about the knives, man.
I think things get reported more, don't they? Across media and so. Is the world more dangerous than it was when we were kids? Probably the same. But we just didn't hear about it when we were kids because there was no internet. There was no...
Right.
texting, there was, social media and all that sort of stuff. It wasn't a thing. So unless it happened
Yeah.
in your general area,
Yeah.
you didn't
Yep.
know. There wasn't 24-hour news. It certainly wasn't what I, here in the UK until,
Yeah.
I don't know, like the 90s or something. So.
Yeah, I can't remember when Ted Turner said, "Hey, what a novel idea," and created his news network. Because yeah, I mean, up until then, I remember in like grade school and even junior, I guess in senior high too. But it's like there's the threat of snow, but we have to wait until the 6 o'clock news to hear the weather again because it's not on all the time. We can't watch Doppler radar. We can't, and so we would all just kind of, hover around the TV watching the ticker tape crap go by.
Yeah.
I mean, like, all because we didn't want to go to school, man. So imagine that.
I've started watching less news nowadays. It's like, you know what?
Yep.
I'm good. I'm just going to watch like old movies instead, or listen to music and stuff like that. So
I get my news from one email per day, and it's called 1440, and it's just kind of unbiased. And here's what's happened, and around the world, but it doesn't really go into any detail. And then I'm done, man. Yeah, I don't want to be connected. My mom stays connected through Facebook, and she'll text me, "Oh my gosh, did you hear about John Smith and Snow White? Oh my goodness," whatever. I don't care. I don't go on Facebook because of that. So
yeah. I go on Facebook. I just ignore a lot of the. And the thing is, social media is just getting weirder by the day. I think Facebook's just.
Yeah.
I don't know. Twitter's just people sharing links going, "Buy my stuff," which I get, but it's like I don't have any money to buy anybody's stuff, so that's not happening.
Right.
Facebook's just full of, I don't know, just weird postings like, "Oh, if you cut and paste this block of text, it reboots the Facebook system and you don't get ads." That doesn't work. So for the love of God, I've started unfollowing people. If somebody makes a posting that is so ludicrous, it's like, you really believe that cutting and pasting this little block of text is going to stop Facebook from charging you money that they're not going to charge you anyway because Facebook's free. I just get rid of them. I'm like, you're an idiot. Get off my timeline.
Yep. Dude, the number of times my mom has sent me a screenshot and said, "This video keeps playing. I don't know how to leave." Well, you clicked on the wrong link, Mom. I told you leave everything alone over in that right-hand side of the screen.
No, that's fine. I think if it's a technology question, like I don't know how to stop it, I think it's fine. But I'm seeing supposed intelligent people who are saying, I wasn't seeing any postings from my friends, but I cut and pasted this block of text into my system, into my posting status thing. It rebooted the Facebook system, and now my friends' postings are all here. Yay! No, that doesn't work. I'm not a computer genius, but I know that doesn't reboot a system.
Right. But wouldn't that be cool if you could drop that text in there and it would actually reboot the Facebook system out in California?
Yep. That's what they think it does. Some of them. It's absolutely crazy.
The number of hoops that you and I are going through just to make this connection, as far as it's my internet to some hub somewhere to some hub somewhere, and it goes on. And then finally, however it gets across the ocean via satellite or whatever, and then all the hoops that it goes through to you. So there's so many opportunities for failure. But my parents, again, they don't get it. And I understand why. I'm not knocking them. But I mean, it's just like, yeah, this isn't working. Well, have you tried this, and this? Have you checked your internet to be sure that that's still up? And
how many?
Which, by the way, oh, go ahead.
How many questions do they have to ask you before you start to get a little bit annoyed? I'm usually about 4. I think I'm usually about the 4th time. I'm like, you're annoying me now, and I think it. I don't say it.
It depends on the day, man. If I have been frustrated by a project for 6 hours and then they're asking me repetitive questions, then, oh, hey, wait, somebody's calling. I got to go. You know what I mean? And, but, so yeah, probably 4 is a good average, sometimes more, sometimes less. And then my sister will call and say, that she clicked on a link and she doesn't understand what happened to her email. And I'm just like, wow, okay, well, let's go back to what you did, But that's the problem with knowledge. It's just like, I'm sure you have people saying, "Hey, Stuart, I want to start my own podcast. How do I do that?" And, and now you can send them to that trailer that's on your IMDb, because I think it's,
Come.
isn't that Frazier who says, hey man, just record it and then send it to Apple and boom, you're a podcaster. Isn't that, it's a misquote, but yeah.
It's pretty close though.
Yeah.
It's
Man.
not too, I mean, obviously you know yourself, it's a little bit more fiddlier than that, but it's not rocket science
Right.
to do a podcast, is it? You could do it in an afternoon easy enough.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
what are you playing? Are you playing any video games lately? So this year, I should say.
Oh man, Beat Saber is probably the main one. We had an electrician come over to do some work for us, and he brought his daughter because it was over the Christmas holiday, and so she wanted to try the VR. And so I think she probably spent more time in 2 afternoons than I had spent in probably 2 months.
Wow.
I try to, yeah, man. I mean, like, uh, the Xbox again is more for like Monopoly or Risk, and that's just something that Michelle and I enjoy doing instead of bringing out the board. But as far as I mean, like we saw the movie Gran Turismo. Maybe that was our
Mm,
first movie of the year, which was good. And I told Michelle that you said it was good, so if it sucks, it's on Stuart. But it was
yep,
amazing,
it
man. I
was.
mean, like I did not expect that. So then that did get me to thinking about I don't want to spend $50 on Gran Turismo for the PlayStation.
Mm.
There's some sort of, was it Gran Turismo Sport, which everybody said, oh, this is trash. And I'm thinking, but it's $20, man. I mean,
Yeah.
like if it gives me my driving fix, then okay, but anyway, but yeah, I mean, so I don't know, man. I finished editing a project that we will be pitching hopefully in the next few months. It's a kind of a, I guess it's kind of an interview show, but we're trying to get it on a network and have it broadcast. So, it goes beyond YouTube. And so that, I mean, like, I was focused on that to knock that out. I was trying to have that done before the new year came in, and I missed it by a couple of days. But yeah, I'm just trying to be efficient with my time. And it's easy, like for Beat Saber, I can have fun, but then it's also exercise. So it's an excuse,
Yeah.
right? Versus any of the other games that I would potentially play would just be for my own enjoyment. And I'm not saying I'm not down with that, but man, again, 11 days into this year, and I feel like I'm already 2 months behind. I'm
Yeah.
ready to achieve.
I've been playing a lot of Lego Dimensions.
Oh yeah, how is that?
It's really good. We've had it for years. I picked it
Yeah.
up for the PlayStation 4, and then
Yeah.
Annette picked it up for the Xbox 360. So that's how far
Right.
back that game goes.
Wow,
But
man.
it works on the X and it works on the PS5. So we've got
Well, that is nice, man.
loads of figures. We've got all the expanded little figures that you put on the portal to. It's huge. So I've played
Gotcha.
37 hours so far. I'm probably about
Yeah.
10% of it done. So it's massive, but I've been playing a lot of that.
Yeah.
And it's fun. Just, I don't feel a need to watch every single film that I could possibly watch. So I'm like,
Right.
you know what? I'm going to do fun stuff. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to listen
Yep.
to some music. I'm going to play some video games. I'm just going to podcast whenever and just
Right.
generally try and be a bit more relaxed with a lot of things.
Right. So you were asking about games. So anyway, there's this game called Flow.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've ever played it. It's old.
No,
I mean,
I
like I
have not.
remember playing this with my kids. And because I haven't had an iPad like I've got an old iPad that is in my sound booth that's where my scripts, once I type them up on or copy and paste them on my computer, they're automatically on there because it's all Apple. And but anyway, this thing, let's see here. So anyway, you have to put the dots.
Okay.
You have to connect them all at the same time. So I mean, as far as you can't let two connect and then they disappear. Everything has to work out logistically. And it goes from a grid of 9 to 10 to 12 and so forth and so on. So it's been fun, man. But again, I mean, I would love to say, whatever the latest, greatest, most amazing visual game. Yes, I've been playing that, but I have not, man.
No,
I'd like to play the
I
latest
haven't.
Spider-Man game.
Yeah, same. I played the first one.
Yeah.
I haven't played Miles Morales, and I haven't played
Yep.
Spider-Man 2. I don't buy brand new games now because they cost a fortune. So
They do,
I've
man. Yeah.
embargoed myself on a lot of the things that I would normally buy. Once I start working again,
Yeah.
then I'll start buying stuff again. But until then, it's like,
Yeah.
nope. No, I
But you're
mean,
enabling longevity of you being able to do what you want and
yeah.
be at home and work when you want, whatever. And yeah, man. I mean, like that's wisdom.
Some would say, but my, account is going down, whereas it should really be going up, or at least in a straight
Right,
line.
right.
So I do need to sort of,
Yeah,
but I still can't work out what I want to do. It's just like,
yeah,
so I
yeah.
really need to work out how to solve that problem and go, this is what I
Right.
want to do. So
Yeah. I still think you should just, write novels and self-publish through Amazon.
hmm. I do have an account set up to do that because I did
Yeah.
a bit of research and set them up and whatnot. I've just
Yeah.
not written anything. So, there is that.
But I mean, like you could write the, like you could write the book about the old video stores, and that would sell,
Yeah.
man. So
What I want to do, and I don't know whether there's any software that does that. So, say you recorded an MP3 of you talk, like this conversation, for example. Is there a
yes,
piece of software that you can go turn that into text?
there are a few, and I will send you links.
Mm.
And I did send you Clutch, the music video that I said I would send you. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch or not, but I'm trying to do better, man. I mean, it's like I still can't show up on time for the podcast, but yet I will remember to send you some links within 48 hours. So.
Well, that is good. And if you want me to send you that Tony Scott production meeting MP3, I can do that.
Oh yeah, man. Okay.
I do have that. What I've started doing as well is I have a lot of commentaries that I've taken off the DVDs that I've got because if I would rather listen to them on headphones while I'm not doing anything else and catch up on them that way. I'm in the process of typing all the ones I've got up on a spreadsheet. And I'm up to
man.
200 and something now. I have 700 commentaries. So when I've done that spreadsheet, I'll send it to you, and you
okay.
can, yeah. So that's my plan. What's your plan for the rest of the day? Anything exciting, or is it wind down time?
The sweet potato fries are in the oven. I'm assuming Michelle should be home in the next 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll have dinner. But gosh, man, I don't know what I'll do today. I've been trying to do as much as possible before the podcast so that I could be on time, and then wasn't. But yeah, man. I mean, like I haven't even thought about it. I'm sure Echo will be in the mix somewhere tonight, probably during dinner, and then off to bed, man, and crank out another day tomorrow. And the grandkids are coming to stay the night tomorrow, which Roxley is 3. Hopefully, I'm getting that right. But anyway, yeah. And then her little brother is like just months old, so he's more manageable. You just lay him on the floor on a mat, and he's happy. So, but anyway, they'll be coming over tomorrow. So I've got a meeting with 2 other producers tomorrow at 4. So I've got to be ready for that meeting, and I'll have grandkids here. So
nice. Only a bunch of hours ago.
Man?
Probably about 7 or 8 hours ago, Annette became a grandmother again for
really. Congratulations.
5 pounds 8 ounces. Apparently, that's
dude. You are good to remember that.
I wouldn't want to be passing a 5 pound 8. So fair play. Shout out to women who do that stuff.
Right. Yep. But I mean, serious props that you remembered the how heavy the baby was, because I mean, like. People would tell me, like, oh, hey, the baby. And if I remember at least part of the name, I'm doing good, because then they go, oh, it was 6 pounds, 3 ounces, 13 inches long, or 50 or whatever. And, they end with brown hair and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, Okay. And then Michelle will say, oh, did the baby arrive? Yes. His name is Ray. And I don't remember anything else. So
I've never,
props, man.
I've never understood why the weight of the baby makes any difference. To be fair,
I
I
think
thought,
it's kind of like if you were to pick up and curl 800 pounds, then wow, man. I mean,
yeah,
like
but no, but
that's
that shows how strong you are, John. If you're curling like 800 pounds, so I'd be like,
right,
that's why that number makes sense. But why
right.
does it make a difference on how big the baby is that's flown out
I
of a
think
woman?
I think it's because a woman who has had trouble with a baby that was like, I don't know, let's say 7 pounds, right? So then when Big Bertha gives birth to, and that I'm sorry, I'm seeing your Twitter numbers drop again. So anyway, when this woman gives birth to a 13-pound baby, everybody can go, "Fuck, no way. Oh my gosh, I thought I had it bad, but I did not, So I think it's like the wearing your badge proudly. It's like
Is there a
13 pounds.
is there a cutoff number though? So imagine if it was like 6 pounds, and you go, okay, 6 pounds, and then it's like 8 pounds. Is it like 8 pounds where you go, oh, fat little sod? I don't know. Is there a number where it becomes like a little fat baby, or I don't know.
Our last child was born at 13 pounds, man. 13
Wow.
pounds. Yes.
And
So
is that like
uh
a really big? I would guess 13 is probably a
um
really big baby, but I don't know what it's like. Whoa,
I
that's
yeah, I mean, like I was there to watch and cut the cord and all that stuff, but I don't really remember thinking, damn, that's a big baby. It was just like, I mean, it was like, wow, okay, yes, but yeah, I don't know, but I mean, it's funny. I think it's just like a rite of passage, where it's like, um, yeah, yeah,
I think
10.
I think
Oh, I got you beat 13.
I think my knowledge of babies being born is the end of one of the episodes in V. If you remember that when it comes out, it's a little alien. That's pretty much that's my benchmark. That's what all
Oh, I
my
got you, man. Oh,
midwife sort of skills are from that. It's like there's two babies. One's a human, which looks a bit pathetic, and the other one's a little
right,
green alien that's going to go into an incubator and wear a nappy at some point,
right.
and unfortunately not make it to the series. But
Well, and maybe that's part of my problem when I watch any movie or TV show where a baby is born and like they show the tight shot of the baby going, "Wah!" and then they pass the baby that's actually a doll to the
yeah,
mom. And of course, the hands are, it's like, anyway. So, and I don't understand why they can't make a realistic baby. Or, yeah, I mean, like, I realize there's unions and rules and stuff, but I mean, damn good and well, there is a mom who has an infant that will let their infant stay awake for an hour for $500. I'm
yeah.
just saying. I mean, like, it's, but anyway, I'm sorry. I'm seeing your Twitter numbers drop again. I'm sorry, Stuart.
I don't care. I don't get paid for having Twitter numbers. It's not a problem.
Although,
At John
what?
Foutz. At John
No,
Foutz.
John Foutz waxing
Yeah.
cinematic, you
Oh
name it,
no.
man.
Here's a better one. At Jake
Yeah.
Almond. At Jake
Yeah.
Almond.
Dude, I'm telling you, one of these days when we're doing the podcast, you need to take like a little white piece of paper and just fold it into a little cube and put it right there at your black t-shirt and be Father Stew.
Father Stu.
you you just, I mean, like with that black shirt, and then you've got the hoodie or the sweater or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's
And
because
yeah,
it's
man, if you
freezing.
were,
It's 3 degrees. 3 degrees where we are.
no way, man.
Yeah.
Good
In
grief.
fact, Alexa, what's the temperature? 3 degrees it is at the minute.
Wow.
And
Man, I was complaining because it was down in the 20s, man.
she's
I
just said
apologize.
she's just said it'll be a low of 1. So
Wow.
that's what we're getting overnight.
Dude, I have not seen temperatures that low since I want to say 93 or 4. And it was 2 weeks of that. And yeah, man, I mean, like the ground doesn't know how to function. I mean, like in trees and everything is just like, we don't understand this apocalypse. And then, it starts to warm up and then everything just reacts adversely. So wow, man. So
Well,
one of
I
the
remember
questions I
when
was,
I remember when I was
yeah,
working nights, probably like a year ago. It got down
yeah.
to -5 while I was working through the night. It was so cold, so cold. Only for about
So
3 or 4 days, but it was
right,
awful.
yeah. But that's something that you guys don't. I mean, like the extreme heat and the extreme cold. You over in Britain don't really. I know. I'm sure the Queen has plenty of fireplaces and stuff. But how do you guys deal with something that cold?
We more than one duvet on the bed. But then we
Right.
learned last year, because obviously the energy prices were through the roof, probably still are, but I don't care. I'll deal
Yeah.
with that in the springtime.
Right.
Hot water bottles. So
Yeah.
we would sit on the couch with a hot water bottle and a blanket over
Right.
us, and we'd be nice and toasty. And then we do it
Yeah.
in bed at night. It's like 2 or 3 hot water bottles under the duvet at the bottom, and it heats the whole thing up. So that's pretty much, and several jumpers.
Right.
So it's yeah, but we don't really get extreme heat over here, so we
Right.
don't really have to worry about that. If it gets over 20 or something, everybody's like, inferno. It's like, no, it's really not an inferno.
Hey, so is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? That's Celsius, isn't it, for you?
Celsius over here, yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Which
Yeah,
it's still serious. I wasn't trying
yeah.
to, you know.
It's
Yeah.
it's
But
still not pleasant. It's the cold weather.
no. The yeah, man. But yeah, we had a bad storm on Tuesday. And do you guys have like tornadoes
We
in
had one.
England?
We had one um, earlier this month in Manchester, which is probably about an hour south of where I
Yeah,
am. So it was like a
right.
tornado, but that never happens. We don't get
Yeah,
earthquakes. We don't get tornadoes. We get heavy rain. We get snow. We
right.
get some areas will get flooded. But other than that, we're doing a lot better for extreme weather than a lot of other places.
Yeah. Because we have milder winters, but then it just, I mean, like we have these storms that just pop up and come up from, like the Gulf all the way through multiple states and then hit North Carolina and keep on going. So it's weirdness, man.
And do you get used to it? Obviously you don't get used to it if a tornado hits you or whatever, but is that just something where you go, I guess that happens and hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, we know how to deal with it?
I don't know about the we know how to deal with it part, but yeah, pretty much. It's just, I mean, because tornadoes, they'll just kind of sit down, tear stuff up, and then skip a house and then dip back down. It's really weird. And this was back when I was writing a bunch of scripts, and this is back in the early 90s. And I had a producer friend out in LA, and I was sending stuff out to him, all paper, by the way.
Hmm.
So anyway, and it was all of a sudden I'm hearing this sound that sounds like a train, and I'm like, we're not near a track. And then it dawned on me, oh hell, that's a tornado. So I'm moving my computer and stuff back away from the window, and it hits, and trees are uprooted, and it was a huge mess. And then there was another time where there was what was called a slipstream, and it had a similar effect where you couldn't travel even down one block in a car. I mean, there were so many trees and stuff down, and power was down for, I guess, about a week. And then my dad and my son were stuck here, and everybody else was stuck wherever they were, visiting friends and stuff. So,
I
yeah.
think if there was an announcement tomorrow going, right, the UK is now going to get hit by a tornado, people would not know how to. They'd be like,
Mhm.
I genuinely don't know how to
Yeah.
deal with that.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
you stay inside. That's about all you can do. And then, it's the way our house is laid out, technically you'd go to the basement, but our basement is finished and has windows. So,
mm.
I don't really even know where I'd go. And
Put mattresses up against the windows, I'm guessing, to keep it won't stop a tornado, but it'll stop the glass hitting you.
Right. Yep. That, but I mean, in this room with everything, do I just walk away? Do I just go, you know what? It's okay.
On a final note, before we wrap this
Yeah.
podcast up and you have to go get your potatoes, what's one thing that you would have to go? You don't have to say obviously Michelle and the kids because that's a given.
Right.
What's
Yeah.
the one thing in your collection in that room that you would go, I need to take with me?
Man, I don't know, man. I mean, if there's one thing, if I could have two things, I probably would take Neil's camera as
Mhm.
one, and then the other. Let's see here. I know you didn't ask for the tour, but let's see here. So the other thing,
The blurry tour.
yeah, exactly. So,
What's the other?
man?
Okay.
Batman cowl from 70s. And
You could get away with two things because you would put that on and then grab the camera.
This would protect me if I didn't have such a large head. That's
exactly.
Man, my dad's dad had this Russian hat that was super cool, man. I mean, just not that he was Russian, but somewhere on his his many journeys around the world, he picked up this hat, and it was just I thought it was badass. I'm like, whenever I can have that hat, Dad, I'd really like to have it. And so finally, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, he gave it to me, and I said, I was like, well, shit. So anyway,
not gonna fit.
So all that time waiting, yeah. So.
But yeah, I am grabbing my 2 folders with all my autographs in.
Yeah.
Which I know exactly where it is. It's down there. I've got 2 of them because I've got that many autographs that they won't fit in one folder. I'm grabbing that because it's my memories, and also it's a nice little nest egg if ever I need one. But that's probably what I'd grab.
Somewhere, trying to think of where I put it, but I've got a TV series that I wrote 3 seasons of, and it's only on paper because that computer died. And oh man, I used to have it. Oh, I think it is in the safe upstairs. So technically, it would be protected. But anyway, man, now I'm gonna have to go check. Thanks.
See, what you should do is put the cowl on top of the safe, put Neil's camera in the safe, and take the safe.
Right.
And then you got 3 things plus all the other stuff that's in there as well.
Well, and technically, I could probably look through this portion of the mask.
Yeah.
Because that's it. That's it, man. So.
Well, that works.
Wait,
it fits.
My head is lost. Oh.
What would have been
I got.
What would have been funny is if it wouldn't come off.
Right. Hey, Michelle, how are you?
I think so. She'd be like,
what Batman voice would I do with that cow? So, yeah.
That is the question. Well, I am going to let you go do the thing with the sweet potatoes. Wait for Michelle to come home.
I hear you, man.
You may sometimes show up a little bit later, but we always stay a bit later anyway. So we always, do the full thing.
Yeah, man, dude, it's always a blast hanging out with you, and I'll send you the links to what I promised, and then you can send me the links to what you were talking about. And
I will indeed. Man. I will indeed. Right. You enjoy the rest of your day and have a good weekend as well, John.
You too, man, because it's let's see here, it's going on 11 for you.
20 to 11. Yep.
That's it, man.
Not too bad.
I only know because of Apple. So
yeah.
All right.
You take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.